We'd been camping for a few days in the heart of the woods, deep enough that the silence pressed down like a thick blanket, muffling every noise except for the occasional crackle of the fire. My wife Sarah had just settled into her sleeping bag inside the tent, and I was alone by the fire, soaking in the quiet. It was then that I heard the first snap of a twig, just off in the darkness beyond the firelight. I called out, thinking it was a deer or a stray animal, but there was no response. I turned my flashlight toward the trees, scanning the shadows, but saw nothing. The forest was still, almost too still. Then I heard it again, closer this time. Footsteps, slow and deliberate, shuffling through the undergrowth. "Hello?" I called, feeling the hairs rise on my neck. And that's when I saw him. A man stood just at the edge of the light, half hidden by shadows. He was tall and gaunt, his clothes torn and muddy, his hands hanging at his sides like dead weights. But it was his face that stopped me cold. There was something wild in his eyes, something that seemed both afraid and hungry. I could see his lips moving, murmuring something to himself, barely a whisper. I couldn't make out the words, but the sound was chilling, an unsteady rhythm that felt wrong. "Can I help you?" I asked, keeping my voice steady, though my mind screamed at me to back away. He tilted his head, his eyes locking onto mine with a strange intensity. And then he smiled, a slow, sickly grin that didn't reach his eyes. "They think they can keep me inside," he whispered. "But the forest lets me out." Behind me, I heard the soft rustle of Sarah stirring inside the tent. I felt a surge of panic. She had no idea this stranger was here, just a few feet away. "I think you should leave," I said, hoping my voice sounded firm. But he only stepped closer, one foot crunching on the leaves, then another. His gaze darted toward the tent, his smile widening, and that's when I saw the dried, dark stains on his hands. The dirt, and what I realized, with a sick lurch in my stomach, was blood. My body moved on instinct. I turned, shouting for Sarah to run, to get out of the tent. She scrambled, grabbing a flashlight, and bolted past me into the woods as I stood my ground, facing the stranger. He took another step forward, his head tilting again as though curious, watching us with the cold, calculated gaze of a predator. "You can't hide from me," he called after us, his voice echoing through the trees as we fled, his laughter following us into the dark. And somehow, even now, I still hear it.